What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a little bit of a look at a couple of really fun new Transformers cards. They are basically cards which have been designed to be a bit over the top. They are designed to be really very good cards. So when I say these are great, they are great. They are designed to be great. But as with every card, there's going to be a downside. We are talking about Ghost Shield and Master Sword. And straight off the back, right, if we have a look at Master Sword, you've got +4 attack. We know that's a bit ridiculous. And you've got +3 defense. We know that's a bit ridiculous. So let's dig in a little bit more, shall we? So starting off with Master Sword then, +4 attack on a blue icon card. Now the blue icon is one of the measures they're using here to stop it being too good. The blue icon is good for defending, but you want the +4 attack when you're attacking, so they're evening it out a little bit. Of course, if you're playing a defensive blue icon deck, giving you +4 attack could still be awesome, because you just play around with defense and your blue icons, and then you add attack naturally using something like this, so it can still work in a defensive deck. Although there's usually better options if I'm honest with you. So it all sounds really good, and isn't it basically Grenade Launcher? And isn't Grenade Launcher so good it falls off at the end of your attack? Why, yes. What's the downside? You're only allowed to play it to replace a weapon on a character with no empty weapon slots. I.e., if your character has any space for weapons, you're not allowed to play this. Now, for anyone that may have forgotten, the rule is very simple. You are allowed to attach as many upgrades as you like, whenever you like, but it might be replacing. So you can put a weapon on, and if there is a weapon on, you can just put another weapon on, but to do so means you discard the original weapon. You scrap the original weapon. And that's the only way to attach Master Sword. It cannot be the first one that you attach. Now, if we look at something like Megatron Living Weapon, the rare Megatron from Wave 1, the one that came in the Energon edition, it can be upgraded with a weapon in his armor or utility slots. That's fine. The way you have to play it with that is you play a weapon into the weapon slot and then replace it, you're good. Even though you could put a weapon into the armor or utility slots, as long as you're replacing a weapon in the weapon slot, there are no spare weapon slots, you're good to go. But if instead we were to look at something like Predaking, for instance, this would not work well with Predaking. Because you see, Predaking has 5 weapon slots. So the only way to play this onto a Predaking would be to make it the 6th weapon. Which is possible, but a little bit silly. So remember, if it's something like Megatron, where you are putting extra weapons in extra slots if you want, put one weapon in the weapon slot, replace it, you're good. Something like Predaking, you would have to have no empty weapon slots, and that's asking a bit much. Is this good? Oh my word, yes it is. Of course it's good. It's ridiculous. However, you've got to be really careful about it. This might be a 1 or a 2 of rather than a 3 of. It's better than Grenade Launcher as long as you have an extra weapon attached beforehand. It's better than Static Laser of Ironhide as long as you've already got a weapon on there. But if you end up with 2 weapons in hand and they're both Master Sword, you can't play them. The thing is, there's something even better about the card I haven't even mentioned yet. If an opponent's card would cause this to be scrapped from a character, you may scrap a weapon from your hand instead. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculously good. Because you see, now you can keep it on there. Your opponent goes to play ramming speed. Oh, look. And I use that a lot because it's got Grimlock on the artwork. Well, as long as you've got a weapon in hand, you scrap that instead. And it does not say the first time during your opponent's turn or any of that rubbish. There's no restrictions here. In theory, if your opponent tries 6 different times to scrap this, and all 6 times you've got a weapon in your hand to fight them off, you can just keep fighting them off. Keep pushing them back. That's what's so cool about this. The fact that you can continually stop your opponent. That's what's awesome here. There is a gigantic downside, make no mistake about it. The fact that it has got to be played to replace an existing weapon and cannot be the first weapon, that is a huge problem. And I make no bones about that. But that doesn't mean it's not great. It doesn't mean it's not awesome. And it doesn't mean we're not going to see a huge amount of people trying to make it work. Maybe it's not a free of, but it is definitely a card we're going to see a lot of play for. It's got to be. Look how good it is. Oh yeah, but we've also got Ghost Shield. And Ghost Shield will look like the opposite. We see this quite a lot in the Transformers TCG. Whether it's Autobots and Decepticons attacking and defending, whatever it might be, we see an awful lot of parallel cards. So Ghost Shield gives you a really nice defense boost rather than a really nice attack boost. It's +3 rather than +4, but defending cards have always been slightly underpowered compared to attacking cards. And we've been told many times that is a very deliberate thing to do, because otherwise we'd end up with just long games where people were defending and it would be kinda boring. We got an orange icon rather than a blue icon, so again, in a purely defensive deck, you've got a worthless orange icon. Boo hissing. Well, not worthless, but you know what I mean. It's not what you're looking for. Once again, it can only be placed to replace an existing armor. It cannot be put onto a character with no empty armor slots. And once again, if your opponent would scrap it, you may scrap an armor from your hand instead. It is very much exactly the same thing, but it's there to defend rather than attack. And once again, we have a really, really good defensive card, which is better than the alternatives, but once again, it's awkward to actually use. However, in a tank deck, I adore this. This seems like a card which is absolutely made for Hunker Down. This looks like an absolute dream for tank decks with Hunker Down. You see, the awesome thing about Hunker Down is it lets you flip all of your characters from bot mode to tank mode. Then, for each of your tanks that isn't upgraded with an armor, you put an armor on it from your scrap pile. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty gosh darn good. You see, now, you don't have to worry. You can just scrap it while attacking or defending and attach it. You can play it knowing that, alright, it might clog your hand in the early game, but you're going to be able to use it over and over again. That's why I love Ghost Shield so much. It really is a brilliant option. Now, of course, tank decks can also use Superior Plating, which gives you tough 4 and has a blue icon, so maybe it's not necessarily needed there. But I do like Ghost Shield because we've got Hunker Down that works so beautifully with it. It really does give you a nice... It gives you kind of a roadmap for how to use it, which is kind of redonkulous. Of course, we see a very similar thing with Wave 1 Jetfire. When you flip into bot mode, put an armor or utility from your scrap pile onto this character. Now, there is an argument that you'd rather have something like Force Field there. I can't argue too much with you. But because of Hunker Down and because of Jetfire, we're looking quite good. We've got easy, obvious, nice ways to play it. That's why I like these cards. And I do think, generally speaking, they are good cards. I think they are very powerful cards. However, I do worry in the early game. I worry that they're going to clog up your hand before you've actually had chance to get a weapon or an armor on. As a side note, I've talked about Jetfire and Hunker Down here. There's no equivalent for weapon right now. Unless I'm missing something obvious, but I've had a good search around, and there are 2 cards that let you put an armor, there are no cards that make you put a weapon. Which is weird. Good cards, good pair, good synergy. I honestly don't know how much play they're going to see, but I really do feel like they're absolutely worth a play. I feel like they've got to be worth testing. But I do think that the counts are going to be awkward. I think it's going to be quite difficult to actually find a good balance here of exactly how many to play and when to play them and all of that. But I love that these cards are here, and I love that the design team are basically going, look, here are really interesting cards, but there's some massive downsides, go for it. And once they're on your character, well, that, ladies and gentlemen, that's a little bit of a game changer. For now, I'd like to know what you think about both these cards, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Transformers and a whole bunch of other games. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.